Harry's Wife, The Less Than Royal Narcissist, Part 60.4. Hello everybody, I'm H.G. Tudor. I'm now going to take a stroll through various news articles which continue to provide us with insight with regard to the behaviour of Harry's wife, not only enabling you to understand why she does as she does, but also to enable you to understand the wider narcissistic dynamic, to increase your understanding about narcissism, and to understand more about those who are caught in the matrix that is that of Harry's wife. First of all, we turn to an article from Hello, and one can sense already, just because it's Hello, that this is going to be some kind of PR puff piece. This was an article that was written on June the 19th, so a couple of days old, from an individual called Jenny McKnight, who's the senior evening writer. So basically, when everybody else is on the lash, Jenny has to settle down with a cup of cocoa and write something fluffy and delightful. The article tells us as follows. The Duchess of Sussex is sending out a copy of her new book, The Bench, to dads ahead of Father's Day on Sunday. I'm not a father, but I had one, and of course I'm well aware of what Father's Day represents. And of course, invariably, it's for most fathers to receive some more socks, or perhaps a bottle of whiskey. Maybe those who are a little more thoughtful are able to conjure up something that is more akin to something that the father would particularly like. Tickets to an event when various lockdowns have been removed, perhaps a particular set of books that their father really enjoys. But of course, speaking of books, Dad wants to be reading something that stimulates him, excites him. Maybe it's a well-worn genre appertaining to war heroes that particularly floats his boat, or maybe some of the excellent crime writing of Ian Rankin that he's becomes particularly engrossed in. Maybe it's a book about gardening so he can exercise his green fingers. Could you imagine, however, that if a father were to sit there proud as punch that his various sons and daughters have mustered up a gift for him? Here you are, Papa. Here's a gift. Thank you so much for everything that you do for us. Hey up, Dad. Think it's absolutely grand what you do for us. I've got you this book, like. And over it's handed. Oh dear. Imagine being the receiving end of the bench. You really would say, for fuck's sake, send me some socks. In fact, I'd rather receive nothing. Now, first of all, this Hello article is yet again another PR puff piece. Why? Because of the necessity for Harry's wife to assert control over tertiary sources, namely the readership, on a repeated basis. She needs to matter, and therefore there will in effect be a standing instruction of please ensure that the world knows that I am authentic and organic, that I am complete in the community, that I am kind and generous, and that this mantra of sugary, sickly, narcissistic blindness is doled out again and again and again. Her narcissism blinds her to the fact that many people are sick and tired of hearing about her and her husband. Her narcissism blinds her to the tone-deaf nature of many of the things that she says and that she does. In her world, I'm just being nice. I'm just being pleasant. Look at all the good things that I do. That is how it seems to her. She lacks the capability and the capacity to realise that what she is doing is actually manipulative, first of all, and tiresome, and often completely inappropriate. So what she has to do is continue to assert control. So there is this conveyor belt of articles with particularly amenable outlets that are quite content either for payment or as a consequence of increased advertising revenue and maybe an amalgam of the two, to keep churning these things out about all things Harry's wife. They're invariably insipid, banal, often hypocritical. And invariably, she also tends to score own goals. Not that she will be able to see this. So first of all, we have this repeated behaviour of causing these PR pieces to be fired out as a means of direct assertion of control over the readership. And then, of course, there is the content, which also demonstrates various aspects of the narcissistic dynamic. So first of all, it's facade management, sending out copies of the new book to dads ahead of Father's Day. And of course, it's meant to be a book for children, not a book for the father. So again, that shows a mismatch, which is a representation of her absence of emotional empathy. Her narcissism doesn't get it right because it's not done from a position of feeling, it's done from a position of intellectual understanding. And her narcissism isn't that evolved, and that causes her to think to herself, this is such a thoughtful gift. All the dads out there would really enjoy having such a book to treasure with their children. Whereas the reality is they're thinking, fuck me, this is boring, dull. I'm not even going to inflict this on my child. I will have child protection services paying me a visit. The article continues thus. Author Matt Haig revealed Harry's wife's thoughtful gift in a post on Twitter, showing off a beautifully handwritten note in her signature calligraphy style. Alongside a photo of the book's cover, one note read, with compliments of the office of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Oh, how grand. It comes from the office of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Grandiosity. A more personal message read, Dear Matt, Happy Father's Day, with love and respect from our family to yours. As ever, Harry's wife. Now, I'm not sure if Mr. Haig actually knows Harry's wife. I suspect not, because, of course, Harry's wife, lacking any boundary recognition, operating with a sense of entitlement, and an absence of accountability, has form in this regard of contacting people as if she's their BFF, inviting them to the wedding even though she's only seen them on television. Shouting over the back fence to Oprah, Hey, can we be friends? And Oprah slapping her hand on her forehead going, oh, not this fuckwit again, Jesus Christ. James, unleash the hounds. So, a personal message is sent to Matt. Remember, from her perspective, it's a well-meaning gesture, because the narcissism causes her to believe that, but it shows over-familiarity, poor boundary recognition. With love and respect, you don't know the man. So why are you saying that you love and respect him? Again, it's false. I noticed, for instance, in the comments section that somebody had talked about how they hate how pop stars say, I love you, to all of their fans, when really they should be saying, thank you very much for coming, or thank you for buying a ticket. Absolutely right. Saying, I love you all, is just grandiose. You don't fucking know these people, so how can you love them? It lacks sincerity. And of course, there'll be people who go, oh, it's harmless. Well, perhaps so, but it gives you insight into the behaviour of the individual. And of course, here we have a note being sent to somebody who doesn't know her. She doesn't know him, evidencing the transgression of boundaries and a sense of entitlement. And again, it's a direct assertion of control, and it's all about facade management. The article continues. Earlier this week, it was announced that her illustrated children's novel has hit #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list in the children's picture books category. An amazing feat for Harry's wife's debut book, which was released this month. Well, no, it's not, and as I understand from repeated comments that you've made, it got there as a consequence of the illustrations and was nothing to do with the writing. So it's a feat for the illustrator. Well done, Mr. Illustrator. But it isn't a feat for her because it has no literary merit whatsoever. The book, as if we didn't already know, tells a story of the special relationship between father and son, as seen through a mother's eyes, and Harry's wife has previously revealed that her husband, Prince Harry, and firstborn Archie were the inspiration behind it. Notice again the repeated regurgitation of these facts by the way of the assertion of control, and the failure to recognise that people are getting fatigued of this. She said, The bench started as a poem I wrote for my husband on Father's Day, the month after Archie was born. That poem became this story. Yes, in a statement, the former actress added, in many ways, pursuing a more compassionate and equitable world begins with these core values, equally to depict another side of masculinity, one grounded in connection, emotion and softness, is to model a world that so many would like to see for their sons and daughters alike. Thank you for supporting me in this special project. Word salad, grandiosity, seeing people as an extension of self. The first illustration in the book by best-selling artist Christian Robinson appears to be one of Harry and baby Archie. I never fucking realised, nobody's ever told me that before. Harry's wife said of the illustrator, Christian layered in beautiful and ethereal watercolour illustrations that capture the warmth, joy and comfort of the relationship between fathers and sons from all walks of life. This representation was particularly important to me, and Christian and I worked closely to depict this special bond through an inclusive lens. Oh, inclusive lens. We really ought to organise some Harry's wife bullshit bingo cards, oughtn't we? You know the deal. You get a card and it has a series of words and phrases that she uses, and as we work through this material, you can tick them off, and maybe we'll do it as a live stream sometime. Maybe I'll organise that you pay $1 and we'll throw that into the Angel Assistance Fund to help people, and you all have randomly generated Harry's wife bullshit bingo cards, and if you win, you call it out on there, send it in for verification, and you'll win a prize. Some of my fantastic merch instead. I might do that. Anyway, again, word salad, all about me, self-absorption, individual as an extension of self. And this gesture, which on the face of it you might think, isn't that a kind and pleasant gesture when you see it through the lens of the narcissism? Of course, first of all, the article in itself is the continued assertion of control, and then the content of the article demonstrates various aspects of the narcissistic dynamic, again, enabling you to understand further. But it has, since the last parts of Harry's wife, there's been quite a bit of activity and action. So join me in part 60.5 for more analysis, and maybe I'll throw in a little more snark and sarcasm too.